All right, here we go with the notes for Unit 3, Cycle 1, Level 2 Star. This is the learning or notes section of the lesson. I'm going to give you a fun fact real quick. Mosquitoes kill more humans every year than any other animal or insect on the planet. So you might want to remember that, just FYI. So let's get started. Okay, so I said already that it's Level 2 Star. And it is writing linear equations in slope, intercept, and point slope form if you are given a point and a slope. So make sure that you understand that these notes are if you are given a point and a slope. That's important. So slope intercept form you should already be familiar with. It is y equals mx plus b. We'll get to point slope form in just a few minutes. So in order to write an equation in slope-intercept form, if you're given a point and slope, you have two steps. The first step is to substitute the slope, m, and the coordinates of the point x, y into the slope-intercept formula and then solve for b. Okay, and we're going to do that right here in just a second. Step 2 is going to be to write the equation using the given slope and the y-intercept. All right, so let's get started on the example. So here's the example. Move this up just a little bit. So we are going to write an equation in slope-intercept form given a slope of 3. Remember, we use m for slope, and I'm going to be color coding this whole thing, so pay attention to that too. And a point of -1, -2. So this -1 is your x value, and the -2 is your y value. And that is important, so be careful with that. So like I said earlier, the first step is to substitute and solve for b. I like to make a list of all of my information before I get started. So I have the slope of m equals 3. I have an x value of -1. And I have a y value of -2. All right? So if I start with just the generic formula, y equals m x plus b, pay attention to the colors, okay, then I can substitute in the information that I have and then just simplify and then write the equation. So my y value is -2. So y is -2, so instead of y, I'm going to write -2 here. All right, my slope, m, I wrote over here, it's 3. My x value is -1. I'm going to put this in parentheses because we want to make sure we multiply by the -1 and not subtract. And then I don't know what my b value is yet. That's what we have to solve for, so I'm just going to leave that as b. All right, so let's simplify here, okay? I can't do anything with that -2 yet, so I'm just going to leave it right there. I can, however, multiply this 3 and -3, or excuse me, 3 and -1 to get a -3. And then I bring down this plus b right here. So all I did from here to here is multiply the 3 times -1 and got -3. All right, the next thing that we need to do is to get all of the information or all of the numbers besides this b on one side of the equal sign. Okay, and if it helps you, you can draw a line down the equal sign. You don't have to do that, but whatever you do on one side of that line, you have to do on the other. Okay, so we're going to add 3 right here, but if we add 3 on the right, we also have to add 3 on the left. Okay, then I'm going to draw the line this way so I know that something's changed. All right, if I look at this, the -3 and the +3 cancel out. I'm left with a b on this side, and then -2 plus 3 is simply +1. So my b value is equal to 1. And actually I'm going to change that to red. There we go. Okay. All right, so now we're going to write the equation. Okay. The equation that we are writing, again, is the slope-intercept form, so it's y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to use my colors again. So y equals m x plus b. I know that my x and y value in this case need to stay x and y because we're writing the equation. We're not trying to solve for anything. So I'm just going to rewrite it as y equals. I am going to plug my slope in. So m is 3. X is still x because we're not doing it for a specific point. We're writing the equation for all points on this line. And then my plus b becomes plus 1. Okay? So the equation, if you're given a slope of 3 and a point of -1, -2, is y equals 3x plus 1. And that is your final answer for that example. Okay, so we just finished writing an equation in slope-intercept form. You guys should be pretty familiar with that one, the y equals mx plus b. But this new equation in point-slope form is brand new. So you need to pay close attention to this one to make sure that you understand what's going on here. So first of all, the equation, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right? So we already know that the slope is, or m is the slope. So that should be pretty straightforward right there. But in order to write the equation in point-slope form, when you're given a point and a slope, okay, the first step you have to do is substitute the slope in, and then also substitute the x1, y1 point into the point-slope formula. Now, a lot of you may be looking at this. What is this x1, y1 thing? Why are there little numbers next to it? That is just so that we can identify which specific point that we're looking at. Sometimes you may see x2, y2, x3, y3. Okay, you can label, as long as you label each point with different numbers, then you're fine because that you can tell them apart. Okay. So the second step is going to be to simplify if you need to. Sometimes you won't have to, but if you have some negatives in there, you might need to do that. So let's get started on this. And we are actually using the exact same information as we did on this example so that you can see how you can write equations for the same line differently. So this one is in slope-intercept form. This new one will be for the same line, but in point-slope form. Okay, so we're going to substitute first, all right? So we're going to write the equation in point-slope form given a slope of 3. So that is our m. I'm going to go ahead and write that right here. M equals 3. I always make a list whenever I'm doing a problem. It helps me to stay organized. Okay, on the point, all right, this is going to be our x1, y1. So this is x1, and then that's a comma, and then y1. And I'm going to add those to my list. So my x1 value is -1. And my y1 value is -2. All right? Okay, so we have our list of information. So now we are going to use the point-slope formula and substitute some things in. So we have y minus y1. And I'm just writing the formula using the colors first, and then I'll substitute in just a second. And then that equals the slope times the x value minus the x1 value. Okay, so make sure that you're paying attention to where I'm putting these colors because I'm going to stay consistent throughout the whole problem, and hopefully the colors will help you to understand where everything comes from. All right, so also you can draw the line if you need it. It'll help you to, if you do one thing on one side, you got to do it on the other too. All right, so let's get this substituted in. So we have the y minus y1, which is -2. Notice how we have a double negative there, so be careful with that. We will address that in just a minute. Okay, that equals the slope m, which is 3 times x minus x1. x1 is -1, so notice how we have minus a negative here also. Okay, so let's take care of these double negatives, and that is actually the second step where we're simplifying. Remember what I said about sometimes we're going to have to simplify and sometimes that would have been our answer if we didn't have double negatives, okay? So I'm actually going to write the next step down here, and I'm going to draw this little arrow to help you see that. All right. So now all we have to do is take care of the double negative. So we have y, and then minus a negative 2 becomes plus 2. Okay, and then equals 3 times x minus a negative, I forgot to put that 1 right there, so make sure that you get that. So x minus a negative 1 becomes x plus 1. Make sure I stick with my colors there. And since we're just simply trying to write the equation in point-slope form, we're not solving for anything else, that's our answer, and we are done. So we would just put a box around that, and we're finished. So notice that both of these equations represent the exact same line, but this one is written in point-slope form, and okay, that was my bad. I said point-slope form on this one. This one is actually slope-intercept form, and this one over here is the point-slope form. I apologize for that. If you have any questions, just let one of the teachers in your class know, and we can help you with that.